so far we've still only used two techniques. We've been spreading things and we've been modeling shapes and pressing them on. Now the third technique that really brings your pictures to life is adding a texture. And you can use all kinds of things. You can take a sharp pencil and scratch the plasticine. To make fur, something I use quite often is a little piece of a comb, and gently brush the mouse all over, or comb the mouse all over, and he starts to look quite furry. And then for really tiny places where the comb is too large, you can again just take your very sharp pencil and just make actual little fur marks all over the mouse. Now if he's going to have some whiskers, you can also use that very sharp pencil, and I'm going to make some little whisker holes on his nose, and then I can just draw in some very skinny whiskers. And he's starting to look more like a mouse. I think it's time for his eyes, and we'll use a little bit of black. He's got really shiny little mouse eyes. And then to give his eye that extra little sparkle that you see often in cartoons, we'll just take a very tiny piece of white plasticine, put on the eye, and that just gives him a little bit of sparkle. So nib is complete. Now we're just going to add one more detail to the picture. We'll make the little, he's holding a little piece of clover in his hand, and just by changing the color, this could be a mouse tail, but now it's green plasticine. Just going to add, put the stem of the flower in his hand, and there's also a stem because it has a little bit of a leaf coming off it. And you can make an entire tree very simply. You can just make a big round green ball, or you can make each separate leaf. So here for this flower, this clover, it's got 3 little leaves. I've just pinched a sort of pointy shape at both ends, press it into position. So again, this is just modeling and adding details. The hard part with plasticine is stopping. I mean, you could just keep adding stuff to this picture forever. Even put some veins in the leaf, make this look more detailed with the pencil. And I've got some purple straight from the pack. Sometimes it's nice to really use a bright color. Clover is made up of lots of petals, and each petal is sort of like a little banana shape. We'll do 3 of this dark purple. We'll use a little lighter purple. There's 3 more. So then we'll do just one more layer of these very simple shapes, but once you get a lot of them, it makes quite a nice detailed flower. This is a good way also if you're making like a dragon or something with scales, or a fish. You can just one at a time make those little shapes and overlap them like roof shingles or something, and all of a sudden you've got a very scaly dragon. Usually there's a couple little tiny green leaves at the base of the flower. Now we'll just add maybe a little bit of texture to the ground, and I'm going to make it look a bit sandy. Again, I'm using that very sharp pencil. Put some little dots here, make it look kind of like sandy on the ground. Sometimes I use an old toothbrush, and you can just press it into the plasticine, and that's good for making things look fuzzy. We'll just add a couple of little pebbles in the ground. So far the picture is finished according to my drawing. I have the mouse, I have the flower, but sometimes it's good when you're finished is to just look at your picture and think it needs something. And even though you've worked from your drawing, you can always add more. And I think what this picture needs is something bright and maybe another character. So I'm going to take a color I love to put in pictures, a nice bright red. And I really like to make ladybugs, so we're going to make that nice red dot of a ladybug. Ladybugs are fun to make out of plasticine because they're basically a whole bunch of dots. They're very simple. Got a little round dot head and some teeny weeny ladybug legs. And sometimes if your fingers are too sticky or just not small enough to attach something, again, you can use a pencil or a toothpick or a stick just to help poke it into position without squishing it. And if the ladybug legs are too hard to get in the first time, just try again. And now the little polka dots on her shell. And we'll give the ladybug some little antennas. I think we'll just draw those in because those are so skinny. And now she needs an eye, and because the ladybug is so dark, just the tiniest weeniest bit of white plasticine for her eye. And to make her look a bit more lively, we'll go the other way. We'll use a sharp pencil and just dot in a little pupil, a little dot on her eye. And there we have it. So the picture is finished now. I think the ladybug is what it needed. And if you're doing artwork, one thing that's very important when you are finished with it, it's always a good idea to sign your artwork. So there's Nib the mouse. Once I started making illustrations in plasticine, I started meeting other plasticine artists, and that's one of my favorite parts of the job, is when people send me plasticine pictures they've made or email them, or I see them in schools that I visit, and I always learn something from other plasticine artists. What I like about plasticine is that there aren't any rules. There are 20 different ways or 100 different ways to create a mouse or a bird or anything, and when I travel around I meet lots of other plasticine artists, and we share ideas and we learn from each other, and that's one of the most exciting parts of this job. This is some wonderful student plasticine artwork, and it's just great to see that. So I hope you get a chance to try some plasticine artwork yourself.